flyer. Y'all saw the banner. And, again, this for me, I want to always highlight our people and put our people in a position where not you're not just serving here, you're serving here because what you're doing in the field or because your expertise and you're also, in the field grinding. But it's also, the training grounds. It's kind of like the farming league, for the big platform. I want to be able to say, hey, look, this guy or this gal, they just did a knockdown, drag out presentation or training on this, and I want to be able to say, hey, look, we need to feature this individual, with integrity and authenticity. We need to feature this person on one of our trainings and calls. And so you guys you're gonna hear it here first today, but you'll hear it again in the company one day. And he's talking about something that extremely important to each and every last one of us because everything we do is surrounded by a mentor and mentee relationship. Okay? And so you can't have one without the other. If one person is off their situation, the whole entire deal goes south. And so we need everybody to be on the same page. And the mentee's job is just as important, if not more important, than the mentor's job, because that mentee's job sets the tone and how everything is going to go with the mentor. Okay. And most people, they have their mentors digging themselves out of holes that they didn't put themselves in. Right. And so they got to come back in and undo all the bad stuff that the mentee did. And so to make sure you guys are running and running, like when I say high speed, aerodynamic, low drag, Aegis is here today to give you guys a training that he specializes in and one I can't wait to sit down and listen to. So Aegis Alaka, the floor is yours, my man.
Absolutely. And once again, Mr. Bean, definitely appreciate it. Just want to just give it back to you. I appreciate you allowing me to speak to the overall team. And this is near and dear to my heart because when we got a chance to meet early in the year, I should say, just understanding the person that you are and also understanding that this team is really out here looking to help people, right? In the solar industry, been in the solar industry for a while now, and there's a lot of people who take advantage, but everyone who I've spoken to on this team, we all have a part to help, right? And since I got a chance to meet and work with everyone, that's all I've seen, and it's a pleasure to be able to help and serve as well. Right. So once again, Mr. Bean, definitely appreciate that. And I'll go ahead and jump into the training. Obviously, we're talking about being, the perfect mentee. And, Mr. Bean just kind of alluded to it, but the reality is that we need both sides of, the situation to make a deal close. In my experience, the person who actually books the appointment, the mentee, actually is setting the whole situation up, right? You're setting the deal up for the mentor to close. And what I realized is that obviously, with me having experience in the industry, roughly about a decade or so, and people being new to the industry, there's a lot of information that kind of gets skipped over, right? So I got a chance to come in the company, be on the bench, for lack of better words, and actually get a chance to observe what some other, what the company was missing, right? And there's a lot of mentors that come in, and we don't even need to really have that conversation, but there's a lot of mentors that come in, and it's just one, two, three, quick and easy, right? They're only there to make a deal, right? They're not there to teach, right? They're not there to coach, right? And then what you'll experience is that the same situations and the same bad habits continue to repeat themselves, right? So I want to start off first and foremost by saying the first, I should say, there's about four steps to being a perfect mentor, right? And the first one is the area of concentration, right? So if you're taking notes, you definitely want to write this down. The area of concentration, right? So what area do you want to focus on? Right. As you guys can see, there's so many different ways of generating leads. We have Mr. Landon Taylor on the line that's hooking everyone up with the online systems and through social media. There's door knocking, there's referrals, there's all of these different aspects. But the reality is if you try to chase all of these rabbits, right, how many do you end up with? Right. So you need to have a true focus and concentration of where you're actually going to get your business. right? So I know I was speaking to one of the team members the other day, and I'm not gonna call him out, but he came to me with a bunch of different ideas, like, I'm in a new market. I'm about to do this. I'm about to do that. I'm about to do this. I'm about to do that. And I'm like, yo, that's great. But what we need to do is just focus, right? So I want you guys to write this down. There's three markets that we want to focus on, when you're building your business. First is the cold market, right? Second is, and let me just explain that. Cold market is obviously cold calling, door to door, right? And like, online leads and things of that nature, right? With cold market, all right, you can expect your outcomes to be roughly about 10%, right? So basically about 1 out of 10, right? Now, some people need to start in the cold market, right? Because maybe they don't have a warm market, right? And I'll get to that. Maybe they don't have a hot market, right? But some people need to start in the cold market, and that's fine. But I just want you to understand the percentages of closing rate ratio, right? Second is the warm market, right? Warm market is family, friends, neighbors, like BNI groups, networking groups, things of that nature. Closing ratio for that is relatively closer to about 50%, right? Maybe a little lower, but let's just say 50%, right? And then you have the hot market, right? Now, the hot market are referrals from, right? People you presented to, deals that you may have already closed, and installs that you may already have, right? So imagine, let's see, who just got installed. I know Ms. Johnson. I know she's not on the call right now, but I just want to give her a quick shout out. Imagine if this was your client, she just got installed, right? And she's happy with the service, she's happy with the install, everything is great. And now you call Ms. Johnson back and you say, "Hey, Ms. Johnson, I know everything went well with you. Do you know any neighbors in your area that could also benefit from going solar?" Right? What do you think the percentage of them giving you a referral, but then also the close ratio of that as well, right? So I've been in this, like I said, I've been in the business for a while, and I had to start operating on what's going to give me the highest return for the amount of time that I put in, right? So I focus a lot of my time and energy on the hot market, also on the warm market. So hot market closes roughly at about 80%, right? So once again, just to go over that, cold market is about 10%, warm market is about 50%, hot market is about 80%, right? 75 to 80%. So, you want to have a focus when you actually get into the business, right? And I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, right? Whether you should door knock, whether you should cold call, whether whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. But that's basically step number one, having a focus and knowing exactly where you're gonna, put your time and energy, right? So step number two is actually setting the stage, right? And I believe the company does a great job with the training on this, right? So basically piquing someone's interest, right? Getting the bill, right, as we know, and then booking the appointment. For a mentee, that's literally the easiest thing to do, right? However, there are some specifics. Now, the reason why I want to go in a little bit deep with this, so piquing interest, this is why it's important to know which market you're dealing with, right? Because piquing interest for a cold market lead is going to be different than piquing the interest for a hot market lead, right? So you don't want to be flipping scripts back and forth, talking to all types of different people all throughout the day. What I realize is that as mentees come into this business and they come into the solar industry, it's so much information, right? And it's so many different scripts, right? If anyone's been through the fast start training, you see there's already quite a few scripts for your family and friends. Right? So you want to make sure that you have a focus on which one. So once again, when you're peaking interest, pick a script, right? And pick the market. Now, just some specific questions you want to ask and find out. All right. Now, I know I got a chance to speak to Landon about this, but just two simple questions, right? How long have you been looking into solar, and why haven't you moved forward as of yet? Guys, I tell you, These two questions, you can already understand if a deal is going to close or not just by asking those two simple questions. How long have you been looking into solar, and why haven't you moved forward as of yet? Right? Now, if someone says, hey, all right, you're piquing their interest, right? You're going through your script, right? Whatever script that may be. And you also ask them, how long have you been looking into solar? If someone tells you 5 or 6 years, right, probability of this deal closing just went up, right? Also, if you tell them, or if you ask them, why haven't you moved forward, right? And they say, okay, well, I couldn't trust the people that I was dealing with, right? The company couldn't do it because of roofing situations, or I needed to get my roof done. Just those two pieces of information, right? That when you pass that off to the mentor, boom, it's basically a closed deal already, right? I know everything I need to do to close that deal. Now, are there some other variables? Of course, all right? But that's almost more than enough information that I need to actually, or a mentor, I should say, would need to close a deal, all right? So it's extremely important that you ask those questions, right? Now, getting the bill, right? Very simple, right? We talk about getting the bill. Once again, the company does a great job on speaking about getting the bill, so on and so forth. But let me give you some more advice on getting the bill, right? Had a few mentor, consultations where the bill is like, when we say get the bill, we want a legible bill, right? Not one that's crinkled up, not one that's like, someone took a picture from like 5 feet away. And we need like the four corners of the bill, right? And of each page, right? The clearer you make the bill, the better, right? And we also need the usage. Now, just a way, because I know sometimes, with clients, they may be a little reluctant to give you the bill for whatever reason, and it's completely understandable, right? So here's how you fix that problem. Hey, homeowner, all right? We need a copy of your bill, right? So we need to see the usage to see how much we'll be able to save you, right? Now, you just put that situation in their favor, right? Obviously, if we're looking to go solar, that homeowner obviously wants to get savings, right? But they may feel a little reluctant to give you the bill. Well, if we can't see how much we can help you save if we don't have the usage, right? Now they want to give it to you, right? Because people are always a little reluctant because their bill has their name, it has all the information on it, and somehow they think you're gonna, do something crazy, right? However, we can't help them. We can't help them with savings unless we see what the actual usage is, right? So that's a little way around that. And then booking the appointment. Now, as I add, booking the appointment and getting the bill should almost take place simultaneously, right? It's been a few times where someone has the bill and they don't have the appointment, right? Or they have the appointment and then they don't have the bill, right? And it happens, right? It's not a big deal at all. It definitely happens, but you want to kind of do both simultaneously, right? As you get the bill, you want to book the appointment as well. Now, a key for this is whatever mentor you choose to work with, you want to have their calendar ahead of time. So as you're trying to book the appointment with the client, you already know what times are available for your mentor, right? And it just makes the situation overall easy, right? So you want to know the mentor's calendar um, while you're booking the appointment, right? And here's an easy way that I usually book appointments, right? I just narrow it down. It's kind of like a funnel. So I ask a series of questions. Weekdays, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, what days work best for you? Weekdays or weekends, right? They'll choose, right? I learned this from the Grant Cardone training a long time ago. If you give them a choice, they'll choose, right? Weekends or weekdays. They'll pick one, right? Mornings or afternoons. Guess what? They'll pick one, right? So let's say the client says mornings, then I'll give them two times, right? You want to do at 9 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. And guess what? They'll choose one. What you just did is you narrowed them down to choose the appointment time that works best for them. And obviously, as you're looking at the calendar, you'll make sure that it works good for you and the mentor as well, right? So very simple, very direct process of booking an appointment. And when you're booking an appointment, once again, obviously we go through this, so we hear this a lot. Clients are going to ask a lot of questions. It's our job as mentees, right, to just, once again, pique interest, get the bill, and book the appointment, right? When you start to answer questions, it's almost a setup for you, and you don't even realize it, right? So most times clients are going to ask questions that they know you can't answer because that's their way of getting out of the appointment before it's even booked, right? So do yourself and do them a favor by not trying to answer questions that you know you're not going to know, right? Once again, just and I say this because once again, I see it happen all of the time. People talk their way out of appointments by trying to answer questions, right? This is where you say, hey, you know what? That's a perfect question. I can't wait till we have our appointment with the mentor or with the manager, it may be, so he can actually go over that information with you. What time is good? Weekdays or weekends, right? See how we kind of just switch from answering the question to going right back to booking the appointment, right? Another thing, I want you to think about this and understand when you start answering questions, right? You don't realize this, but you're answering questions, right, that they need answered on a consultation. So the more information you give them, the least that they think that they actually need a consultation, right? So you want to kind of take that information away. Now, this is important because I do it till this day, right? I booked the appointment for tomorrow, right, on Sunday. I spoke to the lady last night, called her earlier in the day. She called me back. And this is a referral from a member of my BNI group. We got to talking, and she started asking me a bunch of questions, and I said, I'm not sure. Why am I not sure? She asked me, am I able to do both units? Am I able to do this? Am I able to do that? And I told her, I don't know. Why? I don't have your bill yet. Right? So guess what she has to do? She has to send me a bill. Guess when she sent it? Immediately. Right? Because now she wants to know what I have to offer her. Right? In addition to that, she was asking about, how much am I going to save and how much is this and that? And I'm like, I don't know. Why? I don't have the design. Now, this is actually factual. I don't have the design and I didn't have the bill at the time, right? So I can't actually give any information, but I'm not even going to try to answer anything until we have the consultation, right? So just keep that in mind. Don't go into too much detail. It's unnecessary, right? And you never want to talk yourself out of an appointment, right? Because this is extremely important that we have the consultation, right? So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. Also, guys, we want to set the right expectations, right, for a consultation, right? Now, it's funny because, some of you guys have been on a call with me and consultations kind of, if the deal's being closed as well, it may last 2 hours, right? It could last that long, right? How long would you take, right, on an appointment to make an additional five to $10,000? Right? There's been appointments that I've had that's been 3 or 4 hours, right? Why? Because I have to be patient with the client, right? I can't show them that I'm rushing through the process because why would they choose to go solo with us if we're rushing through the process? Right? So you just want to set the right expectations. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that every appointment is going to take 3 to 4 hours, right? Once again, you want to set the right expectations by just saying, hey, consultation may take roughly about 45 minutes or so, right? The or so part is extremely important, right? Because it could be a little longer, right? But 45 minutes should usually be good. I can go, most mentors should be able to go through a consultation in 45 minutes. However, obviously, if they're looking to move forward, it may take a little longer. And you don't want the mentor to rush, right? You want the mentor to actually take their time and go through the consultation, right? Because if they're rushing, this is where the client now starts to feel like they're being sold because people are talking real quick, right? And that's the no-go for clients, right? So you want to make sure you take the time that's needed and necessary. In addition to that, I'll call, a Bree out And talk about a consultation that we had. We had a client, and I was warned ahead of time, this is going to be a difficult client. And I said, boy, I can't wait. Right. Bernice also told me this is going to be a complicated client. Client has all these issues, so on and so forth. And the client got on and she was aggressive, right? Very aggressive. Hey, tell me what the price is. Tell me what this is. Boom, 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 boom. Right. And I basically just stopped her and I asked her, listen, do you want to see how much money you could save or do you not? Because we don't have to do this. All right. And once again, it's called posture, right? Just understanding that you have what the client needs, not the other way around, right? They're on a Zoom with you to save money for their home, right? You are not begging. Mr. Bean talks about this all of the time. This is a business where you don't have to, be on your knees, right? You don't got to be out here begging, right? Freedom Forever allows us to do everything that we need. It gives us great pricing and installs all over the country. Installs take place relatively fast. They do a lot of stuff, on our behalf. So we don't need to be begging people out here, right? You need to operate with posture. When a client can feel that you have commission breath and you're looking to close a deal, this is when they turn away. They may like you, they may want to do it, but they'll turn away because they can feel the commission breath, right? So you just want to have posture. And when I say have posture, this is not only for the mentor, this is also for the mentee, right? Have posture, right? Have some pride about what you do. Have some pride about, the service you offer, right? Because it is actually the best, in the nation. So that's huge, right? So that's setting the stage. Let me just check time. Okay, we're good on time. So that's setting the stage, right? That's step number two. Now we're moving into step number three, right? And step number three is the actual consultation, right? Now this is the good part, right? So you want to be able to give your mentor, first and foremost, before the consultation, you should have a quick call with your mentor. All right. Now I understand sometimes just because of schedule, sometimes it gets a little tight and rough and things of that nature. People are working throughout the day, so on and so forth. Absolutely get it. But you want to have a quick call with your mentor prior to, right? And you want to give the mentor as much information as possible, right? And the reason why is the more information you give that mentor, the easier it is for that mentor to close the deal, right? As you guys have seen, you see my the presentation, the slideshow. There's a series of questions that I asked the client ahead of time, right? And it's just to kind of figure out, okay, what's my angle of closing this deal, right? For every homeowner, it's going to be something different. For some homeowners, the angle is going to be savings. For some homeowners, the angle is going to be the battery backup system. For some homeowners, the angle is going to be the incentives, right? For some homeowners, which is rare, but it is some, that angle is going to be environmental. So you want to make sure that the questions are being asked up front so you know. Now, once again, that's taking place from the mentor, but you want to give as much information as possible that you know. And when I say as much information, obviously, as a lot of us get started, we're referring like friends and family into have the consultations done, right? Done for, I should say, right? So you know a little bit about this family member, right? You know a little bit about this friend. So you want to just give that information, to the mentor as much as possible, right? Once again, two questions. How long have they been looking, right? And why haven't they moved forward as of yet, right? If you don't ask anything else to the homeowner, asking those two questions will be pretty good, right? It's more than enough information. Now, right, that's before the consultation, right? Now, during the consultation, very important part. And I just want to say I learned a lot of this whole process of consulting. I've learned a lot from watching, Mr. Bean back in the day, right? From learning from, different companies and learning and understanding the power of three ways and learning and understanding the power of edification, right? So it's amazing now that we have both opportunities literally in one. But during the presentation, you want to give a quick intro, right? Just a quick one. Now, this is not like, network marketing where you got to tell the person that, the person, the mentor, flies on, is like the best person in the world, and they do all of this stuff, and he's made over $18,000 this past month or this past day. All that information is not necessary, right? Here's a quick intro. Very important. The mentor's name, right? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this is Idris, right? Reason why, right? And I just want to talk about this because this is extremely important. If you are introducing your client to introducing the client to the mentor, and you don't pronounce or know the mentor's name and say it correctly, there's already an imbalance, and the meeting just started, right? Client's going to be able to see that, right? And they're going to know you don't know this person as well as you say you do. Automatic trust is broken. Right? So deal may not even be closed just based off of that. I'll give you guys a quick example, or not example, but I just want you guys to know when we have a consultation, the client is already looking for reasons to not move forward. Don't give them any, right? Don't give them reasons, right? So know the mentor's name, right? Very important. So as we talk about intro, name, years in the solar industry, right? That might be important. Obviously, you might want to speak to the mentor about that. So however many years they have is great. Helping people all over the country, but they specialize in your state, right? Simple, right? So it doesn't matter where I live. Doesn't matter where the client lives. Doesn't matter where you live. Obviously, we're doing deals all over the country. So you want to make sure that you say, hey, right, helping homeowners all over the country, but they specialize in your state. Why? Because now the client is thinking, okay, this is someone who can help me. They may not be local, but they specialize in the state that I live in to go solar, right? Once again, makes the job so much easier, right? So once again, just a short, brief, intro. I don't even want to say edification, just intro. So once again, name, years in the industry, helping all over the country, but they specialize in your state, right? And this is the end of the intro. That's why I wanted to introduce him or her to you, right? Now the client is open. They feel comfortable, they feel welcome, right? And now their ears are open, right? And you let the mentor take it over from there, right? As you guys probably heard, I start a lot of my consultations by saying, this is not a sales pitch. This is a consultation. It's my job just to explain how everything works and then allow you to make the decision on whether it makes sense for you or your home, right? It's kind of like disarming them so they feel comfortable about the information that they're about to hear, right? Once again, clients come into the situation thinking that they're about to get pitched, right? A full sales pitch is about to take place, right? So I like to disarm them early on. And also as a mentee, you want to make sure that you're not once again, have some posture. You don't want to be pitching them to book the appointment, right? I do solar. I run a solar brokerage, right? I can possibly help you save money on your electricity bill, right? Who wouldn't be open to that? That's it, right? You don't have to give guarantees, right? You don't have to give promises that, you might not be able to keep. Just keep the posture, right? So during the consultation, very important, right? Very important. Be engaged with the consultation, right? I've done a few consultations where, once again, and I get it, but I want you to understand how important this is. If the mentee is not engaged in the consultation, once again, that client is watching what you do, right? So if you're not engaged, why should they be engaged, right? And how is the deal going to be closed if they don't feel like, you're giving it the necessary attention that it needs? I want you guys to think about this. We're not selling, no disrespect, lotions and potions and things of that nature. We're selling 50,000 plus sometimes solar systems, right? So you need to treat it with that type of seriousness, right? Be present, take notes, right? Just be engaged in the process, right? Another thing I would say is have your camera on, right? That's important, right? Because having the camera off, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later on, but once again, if a deal closes, I want you guys to think about this, right? And I know a few people turn their camera on now, but I'm talking about during the consultations, right? But yeah, once again, you're given, or a client is giving you their social security number in some cases if they move forward, right? Giving you how much money they make, their credit score, this, that, and the third. It's detailed information, right? So if your camera is off, they're not gonna know or see what you're doing in the background, right? So once again, they may have thoughts of, I'm not giving this guy my social security number. I can't see what's going on. This is why you need to be engaged with the situation, with the consultation, I should say, right? And be professional. Be in a professional setting, right? Some sort of professional setting, right? So everyone works in different lines of work, completely understandable. Definitely get it. But you want to be in some type of professional setting and also look professional, right? That's important. Once again, we're talking about $50,000 plus systems, right? When a homeowner speaks to their banker, right, or whoever about their finances through Zoom, right, is that banker, you know, in an unprofessional setting? Probably not, right? Probably. So you just want to make sure that you're in a professional, setting, and you look professional as well. No one's asking anyone to dress up in three-piece suits and anything of that nature. Just be professional, right? Not too hard to ask. Um, and take notes. Let's see, where did you say? I'm just looking over my notes here. I apologize. Oh, yes. So as you take notes, you should be taking notes throughout the whole consultation, and you should be taking notes to ask the mentor questions. So the fastest way to learn how to be a mentor as a mentee is by asking questions, right? So, hey, mentor, why did you say this? Right? I want to shout out Brie again because we have a lot of detailed questions, and she asks a lot of questions, and she wants to know. And I appreciate that as a mentor because I know she wants to know, and that tells me she's engaged. That also tells me she's on her way to mentor quick, right? Because she wants to know the process. She's asking all of the right questions, right? So why did you say this? Why did you say that? How does this work? Right? How does that work? Right? So if you're not familiar with net metering, ask, right? If you don't understand why I said something or why the mentor said something, ask, right? And I'll be transparent. I did a Mr. B may notice, but I did a consultation early on with Jabari, right? And this is me having solo experience in the industry. After our initial appointment or whatever, I was on the phone with him for about 2 hours after, asking him questions. How does this work? How does that work? How does this work? How does that work? Right? I know you've been doing this. How's this? How's that? Right? Why? Because I wanted to know. Right? So they say the quality of your life is based on the quality of questions you ask. Right? So you can clearly know who's looking to do what by the questions you ask. So extremely important. Right? Is this making sense so far?
Yes,
A-
sir.
Yep.
Absolutely. Perfect,
Very
perfect.
clear, very clear, Idris. Good stuff.
Absolutely. All right. So once again, that's during the consultation, and now we're at the closing, right? Another very important critical part of the deal, right? So you need to allow the mentor to close the deal for you, right? And what does that mean? Right? That means that you've just been, as a mentee, you've been probably maybe sitting, right, and listening for quite a while, 45 minutes plus or so, and you might get a little antsy, right? You might want to say something, right? Let the mentor close the deal for you. I'll say this, if you choose a mentor, right, hopefully you've chose someone who you feel comfortable, who's able to close the deal, right? So let them close it. If you start talking, right, or you get antsy and you want to start asking questions, or let's say the client asks a question and you jump in front of the mentor and start answering the question, once again, that that not trust, the respect, right, that the mentor had is now broken because now you became the expert and the mentor is not the expert anymore, right? So once again, consultation is basically done, right? If you're gonna give that mentor that ability to, speak and close the deal on your behalf, let them, right? So once again, don't get antsy. Don't answer any of the clients' questions. And once again, I know some of those who have been on consultations with me specifically. You may see and you may hear that sometimes the conversation goes in different ways, and you may not even notice it. Right? I want you guys to understand. As a mentor, the goal is yes, to consult. I get it. I got it. Obviously, the goal is also to close the deal. Right? So sometimes the conversation is going to go in a way that you may not expect it. Let me give you an example. If a client is getting a little rowdy, right, I may take the deal away. Right? I may say, you know what? I'm not even sure if this makes sense for you. I'm not sure if you qualify, whatever. You may think, oh my God, why is he saying that? Once again, let the mentor do his job. What this is called a takeaway, right? So this happened the other day with Philip, right? We were speaking. A client was giving a bunch of objections, and he's feeling a certain way, and I'm not sure this, and I looked up that, and I looked up this. I said, listen, we can either go for it or not, or we can just not do it at all. But it's completely up to you. Right? And once again, you just sit there and wait for them to respond, right? And now they start wanting to re-engage with you because no one wants something taken away from them, right? So my point is, let the mentor do their job, right? And also, right, I would say when after the deal is closed or the consultation is done, in most cases, the mentor is going to kind of open up the floor, for the mentee to speak, right? So, and when I say that, I got to be careful, but yeah, when I say that, once again, hey, so and so mentee, any closing words that you have at all, and then yeah, you can add into the conversation. But before then, once again, you just want to give the respect to the mentor, right? Because you want to keep that. I call it the triangle. It's the same thing for three ways, right? Your client, they trust you, right? But they may not respect your sense and when it comes to solar. However, if you intro and or edify the right way, they respect the mentor that you got on the line, right? So let that situation play out the way it should. Does that make sense? Absolutely. And the last part is basically the review, right? So if we've had a few consultations already, after the consultation, the goal is to get on the phone real quick, and the goal is for the mentee to just ask some questions about the consultation, right? What did you like best about everything? Or why did you say this? Why did you say that? Tell me a little bit more about this. Ask all of the questions you have because it's important, right? It's also important for you to ask the mentor right then and there because it's top of mind, right? I tell this to a few people on my team all of the time, but a mentor, right, is dealing with multiple clients all day. So there's multiple situations, equations, homes, panels, all types of different thoughts that are in our mind. So if we don't talk about it right then and there, chances are we might forget, right? So after the consultation, ask all of the specifics that you might have at that point, just so it can be addressed right then and there, right? In addition to that, the goal for the mentor is to, or I would say, in my opinion, to tell the mentee about the mindset of the consultation, right? So, for instance, we went with the lease because X, Y, Z. This client was this, that, and the third, right? Or we went with the finance because the client said this, that, and the third, right? And then once again, the mentor should be able to explain that to you, right? Because would you guys all agree, right? The goal of being a mentee is so you can be a mentor. So if you have mentors that are not explaining these details to you, what that actually means is that you're not learning. If you're not learning, that means they just worked with you to make a commission, right? And this is what I actually see is wrong with the industry. No one's actually being taught, right? There's just a lot of people out here trying to sell solar deals that may not necessarily know what they're doing. So they use their prior sales experience to try to close deals, but they don't actually understand the mindset of each and every deal that takes place, right? So you need a mentor to make sure that they go over that with you. In addition to the review, step four is also the commission breakdown. Now, this is a very popular discussion. Everyone wants to know how you get paid, and everyone should know how you get paid, right? It's the mentor's job and to actually break this down. However, what I do know is that guess what? Mentor is not going to explain it to you if you don't ask, right? So you want to ask, right? And you want to make sure that you actually ask, hey, mentor, okay, this deal is this, that, and the third. Tell me a little bit about the breakdown, right? What's the split? How does this work? And you should easily and quickly see if someone's not telling you that information, chances are they might be, hiding some information from you, right? Now, I also want to say, being in the solar industry for a while, when the deal closes, that's the start of the project when the deal closes, right? So what the deal may be on day one of the deal closing, it may not be like that on day 15, 20. Things change. I wanted to make this clear that in solar, you're dealing with basically four different industries at the same time, right? So construction, right? Things change in construction all of the time, right? You're dealing with real estate. Things change all of the time in real estate. You're dealing with finance. Things change all of the time in finance, right? And there's also a little bit of customer service dealing with that, right? So as a mentor, also as a mentee, it's just important to know that things may change, right? So once again, this is the part where the mentor kind of like just make sure that the expectations of the mentee are addressed, right? Okay, so just some additional notes I had. I know we're running short on time, but once again, the recordings of the Zooms, right? So I would say obviously I know Mr. Bean obviously talked a lot about having the recordings and things of that nature. So that's great to do on like family, friends, things of that nature. But we also want to keep in mind when we're dealing with like cold market, if a cold market person sees that their Zoom is being recorded, then they may not feel as comfortable, right, going through with the whole deal, right? Because you got to remember, social security number, right? So in some cases, when the deal closes, that client needs to put their bank account information as well, right? So we just want to be mindful about that from time to time. Once again, when you're dealing with family and friends, it's a little bit different, but as we start to go into the cold market, just something to keep in mind, right? I talked about the trust and respect triangle. Once again, just like a three-way, right? The client trusts you because you set the appointment up, but they respect the mentor because you gave them that intro and that edification. So you want to make sure you keep things in that way. I know I heard a little bit about bad reviews. So once again, as Mr. Bean said earlier, bad reviews, less than 1%, over 160 installs nationwide, right? That's how you kill that situation. And oh, last statement, right? I know Mr. Bean has a lot of, other mentors on the team and things of that nature. I would say you want to work with people who are plugged in, right? Mr. Bean talks about it all of the time, right? Plugging into somebody based on a personality, plugging into someone based on what you see them post all day and, all of the hype. Plug into people who are plugged in, right? Extremely important. It's already happened a few times on my team, right? Where I recommended a certain mentor and that mentor started talking about some other stuff, right? It happens, right? Also, that mentor is not plugged in. Mistake on my end, right? So you want to be very careful about choosing mentors and make sure that they're actually plugged into the system, they're plugged into the leadership. And we're actually building this the right way in the right direction for all of the right reasons.